Hello, everybody, and welcome to this AFC South show 155 here on Curtis's Podcast Network. I'm the host of the channel. My name is Curtis, and I'm also the host of That Real Texas Team podcast. You can go hop over there and check us out.
The second best.
With me, as always, our resident Jaguars fan, a.k.a. Duval's finest, Isaiah Michelli.
Host of the best podcast. So yeah, I'm here. I'm not going to finish the whatever next part, but yeah, go Jags. Rough day.
With us as always, our resident Colts fan, Big Steck, aka the one and only Jeff Steckel.
Yeah, host of Unstable, the worst podcast.
It's
but not the worst team.
How about the most room to improve?
yeah
Requires the most improvement. No,
you don't get the most improved award by being the best,
That's right.
You just get the MVP, but we're not
the So yeah, definitely hop on over there, like, share, subscribe, help us out. We really appreciate it, especially after a rough day today. So yeah, show some love.
I'm sure that your Unstable episode this evening was titillating, and I cannot wait to watch it.
Oh yeah, I'm trying a new drop time. I've been dropping them kind of 5, 6. I'm gonna try like a noon drop tomorrow. So look for it then. I'm gonna see maybe because nobody's doing any work at work. So I'll give you something to listen to.
I know I'm not.
Valid. Just down here in the bottom left, our Titans fan for the evening and for the last couple, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Austin the Beard, a.k.a. disgruntled Titans fan.
That's right. I'll change that as the weeks go on. Hopefully, I can drop the disgruntled next week. I'm a co-host there on the Titans Takeaways podcast. Our show tonight, I wasn't able to make a part or be a part of that one just because I had family in town. But I'm here for this one. Get to talk my Titans. I love them. And then we'll talk about what we, as you guys talked about, where our room for improvement is.
Yeah. Well, folks, go ahead and pump the like and the subscribe buttons on this one. We're at 462 at the time of this recording on CPN. Like, see that number jump up a little bit. Let's go 25 likes on this episode. Reactions tend to do pretty damn solid for us, and I'm hoping that trend continues. So, look, of all the games today, there had to be a most embarrassing loss, just by chance, And the Titans are the owners of that loss today. So, Austin, Let's hear about your two-tone boys.
That's right. The badge of shame here. So, as typical, the worst loss goes first. It was a bad game. It was a bad game of football. If you're not a fan of the Bears or the Titans, I do not recommend you watch that game. It was just not enjoyable. Offensive output on both sides was tough to watch. Our defense stepped up. They did a great job. When we talked about what the Titans needed to do to win, it was make Caleb Williams really uncomfortable. He threw for less than 100 yards. He was pretty uncomfortable out there. We were in his face often. We were shutting the run game down. Our defense did what they needed to do. What we didn't account for was Will Levis throwing 2 interceptions, 1 pick six, and our special teams just inviting the entire line into our punter's face and getting, one of those blocked for a touchdown. So tough, when your defense doesn't give up a touchdown, you think you're going to win the game. And then your offensive line and your QB, they just have other plans, man. They just like to hand it over. So really the biggest takeaway is you could have told me that this was a rerun from a game last year. I would have believed you because we didn't look any different. Our offensive line still looks awful. We cannot block anybody. We cannot buy our quarterback anytime. And it's hard to win a game when your quarterback can't take time to process the secondary and make his reads. Now Levis still has some ownership in the clown show that went on there. Just one of the interceptions. It's probably the worst interception I've ever seen him throw, which is saying something. He's getting taken to the ground. He backhand flips it up in the air and it hangs there for a year. And one of the defensive backs just runs up, stands under it. And just, it's pretty inexcusable for a second-year QB. I could see a rookie making that mistake, but really tough there. Shout out to the defense. They look great. I'm not disappointed in our defense at all. I thought our secondary looked great. The moves, bringing in Snead, was excellent there. Uzie, Harold Landry, glad to have him back. He was in Caleb Williams' face quite a lot and was a part of some team tackles on their running backs. So defense, no complaints. Easily my highlight from that game. The low light, though, is that offensive line is miserable. You pay your receivers millions of dollars. You make all these moves on the wire to bring in Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley. You think you're going to have a good season, but you just can't block for your QB. It doesn't matter the money you're throwing at these receivers. So that's where I'm at on that one. I'm still a Titans fan. I always will be. It's just same old, same old. We're kind of gearing up for another 6-11 season, it looks like.
So today, I was supposed to be at work today at 12. I had a massive migraine and ended up not being able to come in until around 2. I woke up from a nap at like 1:50, and the scores that I saw at the time was like 17-7, maybe 17-0 over the Bears, the Titans.
Yeah.
17-7 Jags over the Dolphins. 15-7 Texans over the Colts. All manner of hell broke loose from that moment. Like across all of those games, just craziness started to unfold from that moment. I don't know what kind of witchcraft happened when that migraine happened, but was there a player on the Titans who got injured and didn't come back, and then that entire game just kind of pivoted?
I know Radens had he got tweaked. I didn't really see if he came back or not. I don't
believe that he did. We had that game on the speaker at TV, so we were listening to it. And
yes,
I remember him going out when I got to work, or them talking about him still being out.
Yeah,
got into work.
Yeah, Radens, one of our starting offensive linemen there. He's an important part. He's not the best offensive lineman, but he gets the job done. He did end up going out. I believe towards the end of the first half, if my memories, I had quite a few beers at that point, so memories failing me honestly. But I know he went out, and I didn't see him come back. And when you lose, we have no depth on offense on our offensive line. So you lost one of your good guys, and you had to replace him with some high school linemen, I guess. So, yeah, to answer your question, our offense looked okay, looked pretty decent in that first half, and then it just totally shut out the second half. Terrible.
Yeah, valid. Boys, you got any questions for him?
Come on, hit me.
I think you've been hit enough today.
Will Levis certainly has been hit enough today.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Tony Pollard looked pretty solid in the first half. The offense looked like it was able to move the ball in the first half, and then nothing in the second half. The Bears came out with a pretty solid game plan in the second half, I suppose. Pressure maintained, and Will Levis goes out and has a flop of a game. But, I mean, at least you can hang your hat on the fact that the defense didn't really fuck you. That was not the case last season on several games. So, I guess silver lining, something.
Yeah, it's just the first game of the season. I'm trying to hold myself back from overreacting. Again, like I said, it looked like we were watching the same offense from last year, which is terrible. Like that's not what you want to hear as a Titans fan. It's the first game of the season. There's plenty of adjustments to make. There's now some tape that you can go back and watch. I'm going to trust the head coach and the rest of that coaching staff there. I'm going to trust Brian Callahan to kind of right the ship. We've still got a whole season ahead of us. So let's see what happens, but not looking super optimistic right now.
Okay. All right. Well, look, does anybody else have any more Titans comments? I mean, you don't have to bite your tongue. That's the point of the show.
I'll say it. There's, we're both in that trash talk group, and there's a lot of Titans fans in it, and they were saying, "Oh, we've got the best wide receiver group," and whatever. I'm like, I'm sorry, that goes to the Texans. I can't even be biased on it. Like it's, I think it's just a few like kind of washed old wide receivers, and maybe Calvin Ridley can kind of get something together. But it's like, man, are you still are you confident in that wide receiver group still? Or are you kind of?
I am. Part of the issue and why a lot of our guys weren't getting open is because the Bears, especially in the second half, had a lot of success just rushing forward and getting to our QB. So when you rush 4, you just drop the rest of your guys, and they're able to blanket our receivers. So I'm not too mad at them for not having a bigger game. It would have been nice if one of them stepped up and we could have connected on some deep balls. But the receiving core is like number 8 on my list of worries right now. And to your point, Titans fans, and I'm one of them, I was writing a lot of checks. I was talking a lot of shit, dude. And the game really came in and slapped me in the mouth. So I'm going to have to go to work tomorrow and just totally eat it when I walk in. But that's the nature of the game, right? You talk shit because it's a team you love. And if it doesn't turn out, you walk in, you take it on the chin, and you start on it for next week. So I'm a believer in my wide receivers, and I'm still going to talk shit, and I'm sure those guys will too.
All right, 2 questions. First question, what is number 2 on your top list of worries?
Number 2, yeah. So number 1 is obviously the offensive line. Number 2 is I really kind of put a bit of the blame, and I didn't touch on this, I put a bit of the blame on the coaching staff. Now it's kind of a debut for them. They're all getting used to each other. I didn't bring it up because I think it would have been an overreaction. But number 2 is the coaching staff not making nearly enough adjustments to the Chicago Bears flying around. It looked like we just kind of kept calling the same plays. Just some quick screens that were getting blown up in the backfield every time. All right, let's run it up the middle. Let's see if Pollard can break a tackle and get something going. No, that didn't work either. It was a lack of creativity. And again, I'll kind of throw that on, hey, it's their debut. It's just kind of their first game. They're getting used to everybody. They're getting used to each other. So number 2 would be the lack of adjustments and just kind of the coaching decisions on offense.
Okay. Final score was what, 24-17?
Yeah. They scored 24 unanswered. It was awesome.
Okay. So who's the next opponent?
For the Titans, should be the Jets. Let me just confirm.
The Jets.
I had my my prediction, and it's already like we went through and I wrote down W's next to all the games, and it's already out the window. So I'm gonna have to take another look at that.
I mean, look, I gotta eat some crow because I have no faith in Caleb Williams. Wait,
it is the Jets.
I still have no crow to eat because I still have no faith in Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I did make some outlandish comments that
he threw for under 50%, so you don't have anything to worry about.
No, I'm good on that for now. I'm not worried about. Everybody was talking about, oh, Justin Fields never had these weapons, and he was never. They never gave him a chance. Well, then they gave Caleb Williams all these weapons and drafted like 4 dudes in the first round to play the offensive line, and still couldn't get shit done.
Yeah.
So, to the Bears fans who are in just to hear the shit talk, I need something like Caleb Williams. What the fuck was that? How are you going to throw 24 passes and only have 93 yards? Where are you throwing the ball? You had 14 completions. The fuck?
Yeah. And give the Titans some credit for that poor performance by Caleb Williams there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But, I felt like because the Bears won, I needed to say that, whatever, maybe they're not cursed. They're cursed still. They won despite Caleb Williams, not because of.
Yeah.
And that's not going to change next week when the Texans play them on Sunday Night Football. So let's shift over to another loss taken in a dramatic fashion. This one being a late field goal. Isaiah, let's talk about Jacksonville and the Dolphins.
Do we have to? So I'm playing this. Fuck Australia. Australia is always the one that gives us shit. I'm playing the clip. I don't care. I will say one thing I'm excited about. Trayvon Walker had a fucking day. My projection for him for the season's looking pretty fucking good. Considering I said he's looking at 15 sacks this year. I just want to show this clip. Trayvon Walker is so good, he doesn't need his hands for a sack. I don't know if anybody's seen this. Grabs him by the fucking Achilles. That is a sack. I'll fucking take it. Get it done.
Helmet tackle, baby.
However the fuck you got to do it.
Hold on. Is that technically leading with the crown of your helmet?
He fell, so no. But also, too, then later in the game, Ventrell Miller on a kick or on a punt ran down the field and like shoved one of the gunners like into the dude and knocked them both down out of bounds. That was pretty cool. Honestly, the game was terrible. I think both teams looked bad, and it was mainly because of the coaches trying to get too cute with their play calling. I think even Dolphins fans could admit that Mike McDaniel was out coaching himself at times. Coach Doug Peterson just out coached Mike McDaniel's out coaching himself while out coaching himself. You know, so he out coached him in the way you never want to see your coach out coach another coach. And unfortunately, there was a lot of coaching and a lot of out coaching, and it just happened to be that we had more out coaching than they did. I think that the ETN fumble absolutely fucked us. I think that you know, at the end of the day, we were doing pretty decent. That was a great drive. That was like a 90-something yard drive. Just for it to end on a fumble on the 1 fucking yard line, and then Tyreek Hill to go 80 goddamn yards down the sideline like it was nothing on a fucking cross the field route. I think overall, you know, it was just a bad day for both teams, but they just happened to have a couple more explosive plays and get the ball in the end. People want to blame Trevor Lawrence and say that, you know, his 162 yards wasn't enough. He had 3 passes dropped for first downs. On third down. So, you know, you can't really do too much when you got people dropping passes. And one of them was for like 30 yards that Christian Kirk dropped, hit him with both hands. He jumped up for it, hit him right here, both hands, and he just fucking fell. Nobody touched him. You know, and at the end of the day, I can't really blame him. He didn't throw any picks. He didn't fumble the ball. He cleaned up his turnover issue, at least for this game. At the end of the game, he got suplex sacked right at the end of the game, which should have been called. They called a soft ass one on Josh Allen earlier in the game. And if that was, Josh Hines Allen, don't want to confuse anybody. If that were Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson, they're getting the suplex call on that 100% of the time. And because he's Trevor Lawrence and he plays for the Jaguars, he didn't. And then the next play, he absolutely held onto the ball too long, but nobody was open. And he got sacked, and that really ended the game on third down there. But man, Doug Peterson just going for it on fourth down in situations where we shouldn't. And then like they know you're running the ball and you stack it to the left. Where the fuck do you think they think you're running? Travis Etienne goes to the left. Jalen Ramsey sets the edge. They got guys back there. Etienne reversed field, almost made something happen, but didn't. You know, it's just a relax, play football, let Trevor Lawrence throw the fucking football. You paid him $275 million to, in our last 3 drives, run the ball 8 times and have him drop back 3 times, only actually getting the chance to pass one of them because our offensive line folded quicker than a lawn chair with an easy release. It's just I don't know what to tell you at the end of the day. I think the offensive line played good enough for the most part of the game for us to win. Trevor Lawrence was pretty efficient. I mean, on the 12 receptions he had, that's 13.5 yards per reception that was actually completed. You know, 7.7 per attempt. I mean, he didn't play bad. I mean, Travis Etienne played decent. Tank Bigsby had a day. Love me some Tank Bigsby. 72 yards on 12 carries. Etienne had like 41 yards on 12 carries, a touchdown and a fumble. Brian Thomas Jr., BTJ, baby. He looked great. He burned Jalen Ramsey on multiple occasions, but unfortunately, one of them, Trevor threw a bomb to him, but it was a little bit underthrown, but he did draw the PI on Ramsey on the goal line there. And then the next drive, they hit BTJ in the back of the end zone for a 14-yard touchdown on Ramsey's dome again. And then, you know, Brian Thomas Jr. was giving a little bit of some lip jawing at him a little bit. You know, and it's one of those things like BTJ is just as big as Jalen Ramsey, and he just caught a touchdown on his fucking forehead. One thing that pissed me off, and this shit pisses me off about NFL players all the time, Tyreek Hill, Rashee Rice, all these guys, if that was me getting a reckless driving ticket right outside of a stadium where there's roads blocked off and people walking around, I'm going to fucking jail. But Tyreek Hill got pulled out of his car and put in handcuffs for yelling at police after he got pulled over for a reckless driving, going like 20-something over outside the stadium. And they just, I don't want my parlay to lose today. Tyreek Hill go score a touchdown. Getting really tired of NFL players just getting off of the hook. and I'm not even saying that just because we lost. I mean, there's been a lot of situations where these guys get off the hook on shit they shouldn't just because, somebody's got a 6-leg parlay. They gotta win that day because cops don't get paid enough. That pissed me off a little bit. He shouldn't have been playing today, but we just have to play better. We beat ourselves. I don't think they did anything impressive that really set us off that made us lose the game. We were up 14-0 at some point. We should have won that game, but things happen. We had some great stuff that looked good. Defense looked good. Trayvon Walker, 2 sacks. I'm excited for him. But yeah, just also too. Hold on, one more thing. Josh Allen did not get a sack today. That does not mean that Josh Allen did not have a good game. There are Jaguars fans like, oh, him and Trevor just got paid. They both had terrible games. Josh Allen had at least 5 or 6 pressures and hit Tua twice. I mean, really, really hit Tua twice. One of them, again, soft-ass call on the roughing the passer, but whatever, knocked the shit out of him. Josh Allen had a good game, too. I think it's one of those things where, if you box score watch or don't understand football, you think you had bad days because they got paid and now they suck. Jalen Ramsey also had a hurt hamstring until yesterday. So, it's one of those things where just because they get paid doesn't mean they're bad at football. They just might not have shown up how you wanted them to. But that's it for me.
Good. Anyone want to dive on anything? Questions?
I've got a
Oh.
Yeah. So as a Jags fan, you're the best qualified to answer this. Do you think Trevor Lawrence has peaked? Do you think he's there? Like he is what he is, and there's no real improvement coming? Like what's your opinion on that?
No, I don't think Trevor Lawrence has peaked. I think that Trevor Lawrence has absolutely MVP caliber football in him, and even potentially Super Bowl winning football. I think that part of that is going to stop him from doing that. You can shake your head all you want, Jeff. You know what you're talking about. Anyways, when you have and you know this, when you have an offensive line to where your running back, and this used to be Derrick Henry, it was ETN last year. Your running back is the most hit player in the backfield and still runs for over 1,000 yards, and your quarterback is constantly pressured in his face, having to roll outside of the pocket, having receivers drop the ball. I think he's playing well. I think he's throwing with more touch this year. I think he's still got room to improve. Now, will Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke be the people to get him there? I don't know. The offensive line, we've kind of sat on our hands with it the past 2 years. I think with a better O-line, he's doing great. But, I mean, you have guys like Brock Purdy who look like Tom Brady when they have a great offensive line in front of them. So that's just kind of football at the end of the day. I don't think he's peaked. I think we got to get some new pieces in front of him. We have to get some young guys in there.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
Outside of Trent Williams, can you name another San Francisco 49ers offensive lineman?
George Kittle.
He's a tight end.
He blocks most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, he does do a fair amount of blocking. I'm not knocking that. But an actual, paid offensive lineman.
Really put me on the spot here.
I can't do it. I'm sorry. I think there's one of them might be named Brindle, but he might not be anymore.
This is and I hate to say this. This is the least important position in football for me to remember names because I can't throw a touchdown to a center. You know what I mean? So when I'm playing Madden, I'm not really looking at that. But no, you're right. I can't. But I guarantee you, if I go on there, they're a top 15 to top 10 ranked group.
I would beg to differ. Actually, most of the time, their offensive line is absolute hogwash. They deal with a lot of offensive line injuries as of late. Hell, Trent Williams has not even started all 16 games or 17 games in, I don't know, the last 7 years of his career.
San Francisco 49ers. Oh, well, never mind. That's single player grades, but actually, no, that's shit. I mean, 2021, they were ranked 3rd.
Yeah, but that was what?
I'm just saying, you're over here oh, they're good years. They're terrible. Number 3 is pretty good.
Trent Williams, who's playing all pro football. I'm not trying to diminish him. I'm just saying, I don't know.
That was the whole group.
On their offensive line. I think there's someone.
Look at that. I said it, and it's true. Number 15, San Francisco 49ers.
What are the Jags?
Oh, probably 30, brother. We were 31, and the Titans were 32 last year.
Yep.
Depending on the chart you look at, we're number 20. This is preseason. This is before the season. Rankings.
Yeah.
We were ranked 20.
Okay. What are the Colts?
Pretty sure they're like top 5.
Last year, I think they were
They're
third,
number 5
5,
on this list.
Okay.
somewhere.
And I guess the Titans are still in the bottom.
Gotta be.
I did not see them, and I only went down to 20. They are
Not even ranked.
27.
Okay. And then I guess Houston is probably
Houston's like
10,
11 or 12. Houston is number 11. Yep.
that sounds about right.
So
Yeah, I mean, it would be a little bit of an improvement, I guess we could say, but I don't want to sit here and tout all of these San Francisco offensive linemen as just like elite guys. They've lost a couple bigger name guys that they drafted.
I'm not saying they're elite. I'm just saying they are good enough to give Brock Purdy time to throw the football.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unlike certain O-lines that are currently in the chat, being Jacksonville and the Titans.
Well, how much of that do you think is purely just offensive line talent, and then how much of that is like also a healthy mixture of Kyle Shanahan knowing how to run an offense, that particular offense, so well?
I mean, Brock Purdy sits in the pocket a lot.
He does, but
He probably has one of the lower times. He probably has one of the higher times to throw.
Do you remember when the Texans and head coach was Gary Kubiak, and they would do the constant like zone runs and play actions?
I got no clue who the fuck Kubiak is.
What?
What are you
Gary
talking about?
Kubiak was the coach for the Texans from
when?
From like 2009 until
Okay. Curtis, how old was I?
I don't 10?
I was 9.
I was close.
I don't know. I don't even know who the Jags coach was back then, brother. Like it's probably Del Rio or some shit. I don't fucking
think it was Del Rio. But look, Gary Kubiak later went on to win the Super Bowl with the Broncos for the second time in his career, but first time as a coach. He was the head coach when Peyton Manning broke the record.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence at third lowest time to throw. Brock Purdy at eighth highest. So
what I'm saying is like the Texan, like when Gary Kubiak was there, which is he runs the same system that Shanahan runs. He was our offensive coordinator when Gary Kubiak was there, or the quarterback's coach. The whole point of the zone scheme is to get your quarterback away from pressure entirely. Strong play actions on zones and stuff. That's why Arian Foster was fucking dominant in that era.
Old man Arian.
So it's a scheme thing as well, I feel like, because I don't really feel like I see Purdy just sit in the pocket all the time. I feel like he's often on the move.
Yeah, I mean, so it's Trevor Lawrence because he's running for his fucking life.
Right. For your life, and then design
and having a good offensive line
and design bootlegs.
I'm just saying, if you put Trevor Lawrence behind the San Francisco 49ers O-line, they're a better O-line than ours, man for man.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, I'm asking the question is how much of it is the players and how much it's the system?
It's the players. Now, the system sucks, don't get me wrong, but whenever you watch the Jaguars and you watch Cam Robinson and he gives up a sack, you just watch the guy go right around him, like just literally run around him. It happens every year, multiple times a year. If he goes up against a speed rusher, right past him. Brandon Sheriff, doesn't matter who it is. You could put a sickly young cancer kid out there and he will just blow him up and then get to the quarterback. It's an offensive line thing, I promise you. And then not to mention Anton Harrison's rookie year, he goes up against Nick Bosa, fucking Chris Jones. He went up against like all the great, amazing pass rushers. He did pretty good. I think he let up 6 sacks for the year, which I mean isn't great, but as a rookie, at 20, I think he's 21 years old, something like that, like super young. I mean, he did pretty damn good, but I mean it's the line more than the scheme. The scheme does not help.
Good.
A lot of play action, though. I think Trevor Lawrence took like 28% of his snaps under center, which is the most he's ever taken. So a lot more play action, but still a lot of pain at the end of the day.
lot of pain.
Yeah.
Lots of pain. All right. Final score was 20-17, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Jeff?
I got a question. So I feel like ETN was kind of the entrenched starter at running back. He was, whatever. Do you think Bigsby is kind of forced
I
to
told-
kind of a timeshare, or is this
brother, man, I told Eric and Trevor and them earlier. There is a very real possibility that after next season, ETN is not on the Jaguars anymore. And I think by the end of the season, I think there is a very good chance that Tank Bigsby has more rushing yards and ETN has more receiving yards. But I will say, even like when they won the Super Bowl back in, was that 2017 when the Eagles won the Super Bowl? Doug Peterson is a very much running back by committee type of guy. But in 2023, we were just forced to run ETN so much because Bigsby ended up not having a great year and had a lot of issues early that kind of shook his confidence a little bit. I have a good feeling, though, that Bigsby will end the year with more rushing yards than ETN because he is handling getting hit behind the line of scrimmage a lot better. And ETN is a outside the tackles running back, and Bigsby's a between the tackles running back. And we're trying to force ETN into an inside the tackles hole whenever he's an outside the tackles guy. And it's just not really working out. But I think Bigsby, there's a very big possibility he leads the team in rushing yards at the end of the year.
Interesting. Austin, any more questions?
Nope. All good.
Jeff? Okay. All right. Who's the Jags' next opponent?
We have the Browns. I'll be at that game.
Okay.
So hopefully,
if the Browns play anything like they did today, and by the way, they didn't have either one of their starting tackles, so that does do something. But they played so bad, I think C.J. Beathard could literally just walk in off the street because no, he's not even on the team anymore. He could walk on the street and probably just torch.
Hear me out. They have Deshaun Weinstein. We win.
That's true. No, he's played so bad.
He had 7 more yards and 2 more interceptions than Lawrence on 12 more completions. So
yeah.
I'm not worried about him.
No.
But no, that defense though, the defense is good.
Dallas kind of made
did.
him look silly today.
Yeah.
They took this defense that we were all expecting to be, the defense. I drafted them in both of our leagues, in both of my leagues, to be the defense, and they shat the bed.
Now, I will say though, one thing: Cleveland was the best passing defense, and Cowboys were the best passing offense last year.
Correct.
And they held them to 1 TD through the air and 179 yards on 19 completions. They did what they were known to do, but they could not stop the run game. They stopped it all right, but then also when you have Deshaun Watson back there throwing interceptions and pick sixes, you really don't have to play that well.
True.
The
Cowboys defense ate the Browns offense alive today.
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys offense didn't have to do much. But outside of CeeDee Lamb, I don't feel like they have a lot of weapons. So let's move into the final matchup of the game or of the slate today. Obviously, Texans Colts. Jeff, you want to talk about your? Okay.
No. It was a really good game. It was a close game. It was competitive throughout. And it was kind of what I expected Anthony Richardson to be this season. I mean, there's going to be a lot of big, good plays, and there's going to be mistakes. And his completion percentage isn't where I wanted it. I hoped it would be in between that 50-60 mark, and he completed 9 passes for 19 attempts. So that ain't going to cut it. For those 9 completions, though, there's a lot of yards that went with it. And it was kind of the day that we've been waiting for from Alec Pierce. He got 3 deep passes, 125 yards, and a good touchdown. And that touchdown pass, I think he slipped on his drop back. He rolled out. He had pressure in his face, and he just flicked it for 65 air yards. So it was a beautiful pass. It was on target. So he's got a cannon. And he hit Pierce again deep. He had a really good pass to Doolin. It was Doolin's only catch, 50 yards and a touchdown. So there was some delight from this offense, and there was a lot that was left to be desired. 9 completions in 60 minutes isn't good enough. Jonathan Taylor, you could tell that the Texans defense made a very, like, their entire effort was on stopping Jonathan Taylor, and they did. He had 16 attempts, 48 yards, but Anthony Richardson kind of saved the day rushing. I think he put up almost 60 yards. He had a rushing touchdown, and it was a hard running touchdown. You could tell he was really trying hard to win this game. They just came up a little bit short. The defense, on the other hand, that I thought would be the strong suit for the Colts turned out to be a weakness. I mean, Joe Mixon, they were trying to play the pass, and they just ran it down the Colts' throat. They got after C.J. Stroud. I think they had 4 sacks in the game. There was I think it was Louis Odeingbo, I think, had half a sack, and I think Buckner had a sack and a half. So they were really the only ones on this defense that showed up. I know Latu caused a couple of false starts. His presence was felt, but he didn't register a sack or a tackle. But there was a couple of times where he was, getting, like he was going to go over the nose of one of the guards, and he caused that guard to back up when he started rushing at him. So he made a little bit of an impact. He just didn't, record any stats, I guess. But his presence was felt. But I will say, the biggest issue was Ballard not doing anything to the secondary. Nick Cross was booty cheeks. And I don't care how many tackles he recorded. He's probably a practice squad safety on a lot of other teams. Like, this guy should not be on the fucking field. Anytime he went up to tackle Mixon, he was getting leveled, pancaked by him. It was embarrassing. Like, he got the tackle because Mixon stumbled over him. Jalen Jones looked like burnt toast. I don't think he wasn't covering Diggs on one of his touchdown completions, but they were at about the 12 or 13. Fucking Jalen Jones is 3 yards in the end zone. I'm like, what are you even doing? Why don't you get up in the receiver's space? Like, it didn't go to the receiver. I think he was covering Tank Hill or something like that. But it's like, why are you giving him 10, 15 yards when there's 12 to go? Like, that doesn't. I'm tired of the Gus Bradley defense. There was a couple of would-be interceptions. One was called back because of a holding. The other one was kind of, I don't know if y'all watched that Baltimore game where the receivers' toes were barely out of bounds. It was kind of like that with Juju Brents. He had an interception, but the heel was barely out. So there's a couple of interceptions they could have had that were taken away either by penalty or just game of inches. But overall, the defense looked terrible. I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Mixon is a bad running back, but to let him have a career day when you're supposed to have a top 5 front 7, that's horrible. That can't happen. I think on the first drive, and I'm going to talk, kind of flip back to the offense. There was that opening drive. They elected to receive the kickoff. The drive was going okay. I think at that point, Jonathan Taylor, he was getting 4, 5, 6 yards a carry. He was doing pretty good. Comes to midfield, they're 3rd and 6. He runs it for 5, and then on the next play, they decide to go for it because they're like the 48, and they call some dumbass pass play to, I think it was Mitchell or Pittman on the side, incomplete, wide right, turn it over on downs, and I'm like, why didn't you just run the ball, dude? Like, why are you overcomplicating that? You're not the Seahawks. What are you doing here? So there's a few times. I don't think Matt Gay didn't play, and I don't think they trotted out Schrader, who they called up, at all. I don't think he kicked an extra point. He didn't attempt anything. So, why did you even call him up? You could have had someone else be on the 53. Steichen, I think, sometimes overthinks things. If he went for a 2-point conversion, didn't get it. If you would kick that extra point, we're talking a 1 possession game instead of 2. So they're just kind of more of the same frustrations as last year. But man, that defense just, and it wasn't even those outside runs that were killing us. It was up the middle. Our linebackers weren't coming up. I don't know if they were just playing the receivers, but it was tough. It was a tough game. If you looked at the stats, if you look at, I don't know if if y'all are looking at the stats right now, without looking at the score, you would think that the Texans blew the Colts out. C.J. Stroud looked great. They ran for over 200 yards. There's no way that this should have been a 2-point game.
Yeah.
Just big chunk plays from the Colts kept them in it.
Special teams plays.
Yeah, they
Block
did have a good block punt that they immediately turned into a Taylor touchdown, which saved some of. I have him in a few fantasy leagues, so that was like a saving grace, white lining.
for silver lining for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he had a bad day.
Yeah,
How long until another running back gets paid more money and his pussy starts hurting again?
I guess not too long.
And they didn't do a whole lot. Like, I think Jesus Christ.
Oh,
I think
God.
Jonathan Taylor is great. Yeah, as a receiving back too. They didn't do have him run any routes. They didn't have him like swing passes, hook route, like nothing out of the backfield. Something, quick passes for AR. They didn't really do any of that. So it was just kind of a weird game plan to me. Like, it seemed like they were trying to put a lot of emphasis on the run, and it wasn't working, and they didn't really adjust offensively or defensively. I've been trying to get rid of Gus Bradley since last year, but that man cannot adjust to a game at all.
Okay. Fellas, any more questions before I get into my side? No? Okay. All right.
Wait. No, I'm just kidding.
So when we talked about the lead up into this game, I said one of the things that has to happen for the Texans to win is they got to stop Jonathan Taylor. And the other thing was Joe Mixon is going to have to do serviceable running back play, over 5 yards a carry, 4 to 5 yards a carry. He did that. He succeeded in that. 30 carries, 156 yards, and a touchdown. I did not expect that at all, one bit. I maybe expected 156 rushing yards as like a running back or collectively. The offensive line today looked like an offensive line I've never seen before. Laramie Tunsil, who is praised for exclusively his ability to pass block, did not look very good in pass protection at all. Neither did Titus Howard. However, both of those guys have historically struggled in run blocking. Today, you'd never have guessed that. Laramie Tunsil's 15 yards field trying to hit safeties and linebackers and opening up massive holes for Joe Mixon. Titus Howard was getting bullied by Latu and what's the other guy? Kwity Paye. Bullied at times. Even still, C.J. Stroud hung in. He'd leave the pocket when he needed to, and he'd deliver fucking piss missiles to whoever he could find open. People were worried that maybe Stephon Diggs is not going to flourish in the system. He didn't have the most sexy stat line in the world today. 4 catches, 33 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the 2 touchdowns, I think, is going to keep him happy. If he gets that same 4, 33 yards and 2 touchdowns for the rest of the year, I think he'll be fine. Be fine. It's impossible to do that, I think.
Yeah, if he finishes with 34 touchdowns, I think
he'll be fine. He wouldn't get close to 1,000 yards, but he'd be fine. Nico Collins cemented himself, in my opinion, as wide receiver 1. His play today and that 3rd down and 11 completion at the end of the game where he drags the toe and hits the knee before going out of bounds, absolutely flawless. Tank Dell looked fast and crisp out of his cuts coming off of his injury and getting shot in the offseason. He's been through it, y'all. He's been through it.
It's just a flesh wound.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I think it was just kind of grazed his knee anyway. But
Can I just say really quick so I don't know how true this is, and I don't feel like looking up the facts because I like the way I've heard it. Speaking of players getting shot this offseason, and Ricky Pearsall, gets shot in the arm, shoots the dude back in the chest with his own gun.
Nice.
Okay. The reports come out, and like people on Twitter are like, "Oh, Ricky Pearsall got shot in the chest." No, brother, he got shot in the arm, and he shot bro back. What a badass!
Dude.
Like, he's from Florida. I'm surprised he didn't shoot first because we're kind of known for shit like that. But I'm just saying, pretty badass that it was self-defense and not him murdering someone and playing tight end for the Patriots. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yes. Thank God he's
Go
not
Jets.
Aaron Hernandez. Yeah. Trying to think. So for the last 6 games, Jonathan Taylor has been, Derrick Henry to us, and another Derrick Henry, I should say, and he was not that today. D'Amico Ryans and Anthony Burke made a concerted effort to shut that shit down, and Anthony Richardson was going to have to be the guy to beat us. They didn't really put it on his shoulders at any point. Like, I really never felt like it was Anthony Richardson versus the world, but I felt like there was probably times where it needed to be that, and it didn't. I also feel like Anthony Richardson proved today that he is the most feast or famine quarterback alive. He is either going to throw you a 60-yard fucking rope for a touchdown, or he's going to only be able to find the check down who gets a couple yards, or he's just going to take it down and run with it, or throw an interception, some sort of turnover, maybe. But I feel like those are the options. He's so large that sacking him is a problem.
Mhm.
So he's got that going for him, and he's got the athleticism of how did I describe him in the Texans pod? AR is less stylish and less talented Cam Newton. Let that digest for a second, folks.
I don't know about less talent.
I don't think that I can understand that take. I don't understand the less stylish though, because Cam Newton looks like the fucking like palm tree people from Super Mario with the fucking like water gun squirter thing. Like, he looks retarded. Like, he looks like he just walked out of a mental institution and said, "Hey, give me whatever you got." Like, he looks terrible.
Hey, look. All I'm saying is Anthony Richardson just looks like a regular ass dude. He's got tattoos, but so does Cam.
And then he's, "Hey, I'm Anthony Richardson. How are you doing today?"
He's like, the way he does like press conferences. It very much reminds me of like Luck, just to the point. What they want to hear. He's not. I mean, there's some personality
he's a
to him,
super
but
cool, calm, collected guy. Like,
Yeah.
I like Anthony Richardson. I think he's a cool dude. He's very athletic and very talented. He did some stuff today that he's Anthony Richardson's going to Anthony Richardson, and you guys remember, you guys were there in the draft process. I said he did this at Florida. He plays Superman. He thinks he's Superman. He did it today a little bit during the game. I think he'll get better than that as the time goes on, but there's a very real chance Anthony Richardson will not finish this season again if he cannot stop trying to lower his shoulder and go through people, or just let a play not, just throw the ball away. And,
know when to give up on a play.
Just slide, do something. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to win every single game. You can split with the Texans. You can try better next time. You could do something. I understand you want to win football games. He's going to have to definitely not try and make up for missed time, and that's what he's trying to be Superman and make up for missed time. I hope it doesn't come down to that, but we'll see.
Yeah. And that's something I brought up on my pod is that it kind of felt like Anthony Richardson is I don't know, like, I mean, there's a reason that I drew the Cam Newton comparison. I mean, you said he plays like Superman. Well, Cam Newton did the Superman thing before that was even fucking cool to do. There's literally not a more fitting comparison. Cam Newton had the entire athletic prowess you could ever ask for out of an athlete quarterback. But
I mean, Anthony Richardson is Cam Newton with a bigger arm and a 4.3 40 time.
Yes.
But you know who I'm worried about though? Like, legitimately worried about when it comes to like running quarterbacks? RG3 2.0 in Washington.
Oh,
you know that Jaden Daniels took 16 carries today?
Jesus.
A quarterback, 16 carries. 5.5 yards.
His life.
He got 2 touchdowns on the ground, but like,
yeah.
That's exactly what happened to RG3. They were like, "Hey, just run the ball. Keep running. Design run. Oh, pockets collapsing. Don't throw the open receiver. Just run." Like, he was 17 to 24. He threw efficiently, but goddamn, dude, 16 carries for a quarterback is scary.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to see how many of those were actually designed runs.
I mean, he was playing against Baker, Tom Brady, Mayfield. So Baker had a great game. I I like Baker. I've always thought he's very talented. But I think Jaden had to do what he had to do because Baker went 24 of 30 with 289 and 4 touchdowns, 146.4. Yeah, and Mike Evans had a. Did you all see the Mike Evans catch?
Yeah.
Dude, threw a dude. I mean, getting draped on and just said, "Nope, I'm a grown man. You can't stop me." At least 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yep.
It was a weird first week of football, but it was a good one.
Yeah. Hell, even the college football weekend was kind of weird.
Mhm.
The Rams might beat the Lions. Oh,
Interesting.
20-17 with 24 seconds left. Sorry, I'm getting off track over here.
But you mentioned some of the inaccuracy issues with Richardson. We knew that was going to happen. I mean, he did miss a few. Like there was an A.D. Mitchell play where he had him open, and it was like adrenaline took over the throw, and he just overshot it. But on that interception, I don't really put that on Richardson. Like if you watch the replay, they did one from from the end zone look, and Granson is falling on his fucking face. So I mean, it's probably a completion if he's not. So the ball looked like it sailed, but it didn't. Granson just fell on his face. I don't know if he got pushed or what, or tripped. Like there was some turf issues today. Like Stroud slipped a few times. Like so, I don't know if he slipped, but he was falling on his face as the ball was sailing over his head. So it's like he probably catches that instead of it being a pick. So I can't really blame him for that. So
one of the things that I think separates Stroud early on in his career from Anthony Richardson is his ability to know when the play. Well, yes, but he knows when the play is over and when to just take the L on the play.
Mhm.
He isn't trying to play Superman ball, and he does that very well. But he also knows when to take a calculated risk. I feel like Anthony Richardson, with time, can get there if he can just stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
God, he can't miss any more reps because otherwise we're just never going to figure out if this guy's going to be anything other than a fast guy who throw ball far.
Oh no, he overthrew Granson bad on that.
It wasn't that bad.
It was pretty
Granson
bad.
is busted. It wasn't that bad.
Well,
It was
who's your next opponent, Jeff?
The Jordan Loveless Packers.
Yes.
Whoa! But you got to face the Malik Willis.
The Malik Willis.
You know what's so funny though?
They might.
I hope Malik Willis starts. I hope he throws 4 touchdowns and runs for another and beats the Colts. Not because I want the Colts to lose. I hate the Colts. I don't want them to lose to the Packers because I hate the Packers too. Because I hate the Aaron Rodgers era there. I think overrated, whatever.
Yeah.
I just want to see Malik Willis go over there and blow the fuck up, and Will Levis have another terrible week.
Yeah,
that's
par for the course.
They play like week 3.
I know they do, and I think Malik Willis got done dirty with the Titans, and I hope he tears them the fuck up.
Trust me, if there's any team that's going to make a shitty quarterback look like Joe Montana, they've done it over and over and over.
Yeah. We play the Bears on Sunday Night Football next week. So
hell yeah.
I'll kind of push our pod time next week a little bit. But do we have any I was going to ask everybody from your game, from your team, name one person that we maybe haven't talked about yet who stood out and maybe surprised you today.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that one first. I'll say Alec Pierce by far. I think this is the game that the Colts have been waiting for to have from him, and he caught contested catches. He got open on he was double covered on both of his big catches, and he came down with both of them. So I'm going to say this is kind of the game that Alec Pierce has needed for the last couple of years.
Okay, Austin, you got one?
Yeah, I'll just say T'Vondre Sweat. I didn't really mention his name too much, but Sweat was not just a run stopper. He was also getting after the quarterback. Really good to see him up there with Jeffrey Simmons. I think he really surprised me just with how much he was getting after it. Because that's a big dude. It's a big dude, and I was impressed with how much he was tracking down, runners and that quarterback.
He moves really good for a guy his size.
Yeah, dude, it's insane.
Isaiah, you got one?
Yeah, I think that it was kind of interesting to see because we played Savage in the slot, which I expected. That's where we were saying we were going to play him. He played pretty well. I mean, he didn't have any. I want to say he played well. He didn't have any real stats. Like, he didn't have like a bunch of tackles or anything. But it was nice to see him out there. He was moving good. Weren't a lot of catches on him or anything. But he's one I didn't talk about that I think did pretty decent.
Okay. I could go one of two ways with it. I could either go full Alonso Fotokasi.
Trash.
Well, he had a pretty solid game today. A sack, tackle for loss, and another QB hit. I was not expecting him to get a sack all season, so he's already infinitely improved on that prediction. But I could also go with Galen Bullock. Galen Bullock, the moment he stepped on the field.
Is that the kicker?
No, that's Randy Bullock.
Oh.
Yeah. Kalen Bullock is our third-round safety out of USC.
Oh. Is he painting his nails too?
No, thank God. He's number 21. He changed his number from the preseason from 41 to 21. I didn't even catch that until the game. But he had himself quite a day. The first time he got on the field was in relief effort for Eric Murray, who was in to spell some to be the third safety in a particular package. And came in and he was around the ball every single time. If there was a tackle to be made, he was getting his hands dirty. He didn't mind going and just obliterating somebody if the opportunity was there.
Yeah, all 2 assists.
Look, he's not racking up the tackles, but he did get that interception. He had another pass deflection. And he's technically, I think, on the depth chart, safety 4. I think the defense played a little bit better when he was on the field, and I think the more experience he gets, the more weight he gains, the better he'll be used in this system, because he's a little light for my taste. But hopefully in the NFL, he'll get some weight put on him here pretty quick. Does anybody have anything else? You want to talk about your games and little final thoughts before we move on and wrap this sucker up?
Just hopefully you stop tasting dudes. You're talking about how he's a little light for your taste. I just don't know why you're tasting other guys. It's a little weird.
Nice.
It's been a while.
It has. All right. Well, look, folks, go ahead, head over to Third and Teal, Titans Takeaways, Unstabled, That Real Texas Team podcast. Give a like and subscribe. Like and subscribe here while you're at it. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. Folks, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you guys for coming out here and taking your time out of your evenings to talk about your favorite teams. So,
yes, sir.
Hopefully y'all had fun, and hopefully these people have fun watching. But mostly,
fuck the Colts. Go Jags.
Good people.
Go Jags.